How we doing, YouTube? So I just got done with my second to last ever finals week at college. I actually did pretty good. I got some decent grades this semester. Because of that, I haven't skated in about 2 weeks, so we're back at it again with another tier list. If you have viewed this channel before, you probably know I usually have the camera over here and I like pre-make the tier list, but on this video I gotta be facing the computer because we're actually gonna be doing like a normal tier list where I'm like dragging the things and we're figuring it out as we go. So in this video we're doing shoes. I've already made one on Vans shoes. You should probably go check it out. So I didn't include every Vans that I've skated in here because it's a lot of Vans. I have an outlet near me, so I get them for real cheap. So I skate Vans a whole lot. So there's not too many brands in this because I consistently skate Vans so much just because they're real cheap and easy for me to get. But I have skated quite a bit of shoes over the past couple years. So in this video I think we got like 16 pairs I could think of. 16 or 15. So we're gonna be ranking those. Also, I made another channel for DJing and I would appreciate it if you guys go and subscribe to it. You don't have to though because it's obviously not skating, but that would be pretty sick. So I'll put the link in the description. Alright, so here we go. Number one. This is gonna be the only shoe I've yet to try yet. It looks pretty good. Alright, moving on. Okay, for real now. We'll start with a little half cab action. I remember back in like 2012, this shoe was one of the first skate shoes I've actually ever seen. And I didn't even get it back then. And everyone was talking about it. I think they were a little bit too much money than my 12-year-old self wanted to spend on shoes at the time. So I didn't try them until recently. And I very much like them, especially now that I'm 22. My feet get a little bit more sore than they did when I was 12. So I appreciate the padding on them. And I haven't always been a huge fan of high tops, but this mid top is kind of perfect. And I think they offered a really good amount of board control, not a crazy amount of feel, but a sufficient amount of feel and protection all in one. And I really like the way that they look. So we'll start out with a bang real quick. I'm gonna put the half cab as an S tier. I don't think I'm gonna have too many S tiers on here, but the half cab is just all time one of my favorite shoes in the way that they look and skate. So it's easy. Is that the Janoski? Nah, this is the Shane. Shane O'Neill is based upon the Janoski. If you didn't already know that, I think Shane O'Neill, before he had this pro model, was skating a whole lot of Janoskis. So yeah, it would just make sense that he designed his off it. I think it's a better version of the Janoski, and I really like how the laces go through like a side loop so they get protected. So when I had the shoe, I never ripped the laces, and sometimes that's a big problem with me because I do a lot of kick flips, but they were staying real well intact. I had no problems with these shoes. They were very comfortable. They had real good amount of board feel without them being floppy, so Primos wouldn't hurt too bad. And they were just an excellent street shoe. So I'm gonna put them at probably A for right now. Let's go with the Adidas Campus Vulcanized. Actually, we'll get with this one instead first. We'll go with the Nike SB Blazer. So when I had this shoe, it's the low, by the way. Never skated the mid. And the low version, I think the first day I skated it, even though they weren't all the way broken in yet, so they weren't ripe for judgment, I thought that they were one of the most painful Primos I've ever had in the shoe, and they would flop like crazy for me when I landed on the board Primo. It was like ridiculous. It was, I don't know if it was the insole or the sole itself, but they hurt so bad to skate. And the laces go very far down into the toe box, so I ripped them probably within the first 3 hours. But when I didn't land Primo and I wasn't ripping laces, they skated well, but for those reasons, which are pretty bad, I'm probably not gonna buy the Blazer lows again, so I'll put them down here in the C tier. But I do want to try the mids because I've heard that those are a lot better, and maybe I was just being a wimp and that's why I didn't like the sole, or maybe I'm just used to Vans Ultra Cush, which are amazing stock insoles. On to the next one. All right, so now we're back at the shoe, Adidas Campus Volt, which I skipped to talk the Blazer about first. This is basically Adidas's version of the Blazer, which I actually like the way it skated better because those sole problems that I had and those Primo problems that I had were removed, but the shoe skated at least as well, if not better. Also, on this shoe, there was a little raised part over the laces, so they wouldn't rip for me nearly as quick. So pretty much all the problems I had with the Blazer were fixed in the Campus Volt. I'm gonna probably just keep it here in B actually, because it was just a solid skate shoe. It didn't really stand out to me again though. I don't really want to buy it again, but it was solid. Let's go with another Nike. We'll pop out there with the Nike SB Teen Classic, which I don't think that they make anymore. At the time, I actually had this exact colorway. This shoe was it was like the value shoe of Nike SB. It was probably like $65. I thought it was pretty poorly made because it didn't last too long, and the materials for some reason felt pretty cheap. Maybe it was because there's sort of like a little mesh in the middle of the shoe. It wasn't like a nice canvas or a nice suede, but they didn't feel like too solid of a shoe, and they skated pretty like mids. The grip wasn't great, the flick wasn't great, but I did like the way that they look. But they're really low profile and they didn't offer too much protection, though they did have some padding around like the ankle places, kind of like in the same place that the Vans Airs have padding. They have padding there, but they weren't that good, and I probably wouldn't buy them again even if I could. So I'm gonna probably put them in the C. All right, up next we got the Nike SB Costin 2s and 1s. They don't make these anymore, they haven't made them in years. But yeah, the Costin 1s and the Costin 2s to this day have always been my favorite skate shoe. When I skated them at back when they made them, they were fantastic. They had the best flick. They didn't flop out on like Primo, so they had solid sole protection. They were very durable. I remember they lasted me a surprising amount of time for how thin they were. They had great board feel. The construction was fantastic. It was just like, this right here is my like perfect skate shoe, and I can still remember like the way that they felt on my feet. It was just like everything about them for me was so perfect. So I guess if I rank within the categories, I'll say that these are probably my all-time favorite skate shoe. Or the Costin, I like the 2s a little bit more than the 1s. So I would put the 1s right behind the 2s on this scale. But yeah, those are, if you guys have ever skated them, leave a comment below. All right, what are we gonna do next? How about like this? We'll do with the Nike SB Dunk High. It has been years since I skated these. The last time I had a pair, I think I was still posting on Facebook, and I posted this picture right here of me skating them. They were some purple leather Dunk SBs, and that's me all in a 4-stair in the year 2012. These shoes are ridiculously expensive now, and it's kind of a shame because they're not expensive because they're so good for skateboarding. They're expensive because people who don't skate want them. I think of all like the high top shoes I've ever skated, Dunk SBs have to be the best. Everything about them was like perfect for a skate shoe, definitely as far as high tops go, and they look super sick, but they're almost impossible to find for a price that I would pay and skate in. Like if I was gonna buy Dunk SBs today, I wouldn't really want to skate in them, which defeats the purpose of getting Dunks. So I'm gonna probably keep them in S tier just because of how good they were at skating. But I just hate that they cost so much money these days. All right, what are we feeling right now? Let's talk about these hot pink Vans Tnts. I remember when this shoe first came out, I was intrigued by this wide toe cap. But when I actually got them, and you can kind of tell by the pictures, it's not like a normal rubber toe cap. It was like some stronger material than rubber, which sounds good, and they skated all right while they skated. They weren't uncomfortable. They kind of remind me of how an old school felt. But that toe cap actually ended up being the death of them, because since the rubber was like stronger than the rest of the shoe, it led to a fatal blowout where the shoes pretty much exploded to the point where like the insole and like the actual shoe was coming out of the sole, and it was so ridiculous. Like the shoe just exploded to a point of not being usable. That wasn't actually too long after I got them. That was maybe a month later. Granted, at the time it was summer, and in summer that year, I was skating pretty much every day. If you weren't skating as much as me, you probably wouldn't explode them as quick as they did, and maybe that's a problem they could fix. It's almost a D tier. I actually really kind of want to put it in D tier. I probably will actually. Yeah, that construction error just totally ruined the shoe, and that colorway is not helping too much either. I don't know why I picked some of the grossest colorways. Like this is a Vans Rowan, and I'm actually skating these right now, but they're just like normal white ones. I would never buy whatever this is, whatever color that is. But these Vans Rowans are basically based off this half cap, and I think that the problems that the half cap had were mainly in the construction. The half cap was double stitched around the toe cap and in most places of like high wear. So because of that, the half caps started to wear out a little bit quicker than these Rowans did. So for me, I'd say the Rowans are a little bit better in functionality than the half caps are, but I think the half caps skate or look a little bit better. As far as Vans go, I would say that the Rowans are my favorite Vans, but I'd say the half caps are my favorite looking Vans. I feel like this is a lot of shoes to have in the S tier. I think most people wouldn't put that many up there, but I just have to, because I like all those ones a lot. Also, if you've noticed, I don't have a ridiculous amount of like shoes in my bottom here, because I don't skate too many. When I find a shoe that I like, I'll usually skate it a whole lot. So my repeats in shoes is taking away from how much experimentation that I do. What is the difference between these two? Oh, this is the Busenets right here. So the Busenets, I think I got it 2 times in a row back in probably 2014. It was one of my first cup soles, and I think as far as cup soles go, it had a good amount of board feel. But the problem that I had with this shoe was it had a lack of grip. So on my flick and just while standing on the board, I did not like the slipperiness that this shoe felt on my grip. But other than that, I think it skated pretty well. I do like a good cup sole for its protection aspects. So I will say it's probably better than the Blazer is. And maybe I'm remembering falsely, and it actually does have a sufficient amount of grip. Maybe I was just getting Jessup at the time. I think I'll just probably keep it in the B tier, but just lower down in the B tier. How about these Ctas High Pros? So I skated this shoe last in 9th grade probably. So at least 7 years ago. I don't want to do the math right now. I haven't repeated them because I'm not a big fan of thick toe caps like that. It made my flick feel pretty strange and uncontrollable. But there are a lot of people who can wear this shoe and have exceptional kick flips. So if you can learn how to flick this shoe, then it will probably be your favorite shoe. And I do really like the way that they look. I would actually probably rather get Ctas Pros again instead of any of these shoes below it. So for that reason, I will put it in the B tier, just probably right there. All right, now on to the 2016 Emerica Reynolds Volk Independent Collab shoe. I actually had this exact shoe when I went to Woodward West, and it was a great shoe. It's the only Emerica I've ever skated. Everything was up to par with it, the grip, the flick, except for one thing, and that was the durability. This shoe did not last me very long. It lasted me about 3 weeks, but I was at Woodward for one of those weeks. That sort of invalidates the length of time by a little bit. But 3 weeks is still pretty short to have any skate shoe. I'd probably actually just keep it right there. Actually right above the Ctas. Now we got the Adi Ease. I don't know if Adidas makes this shoe anymore, but this right here was my favorite Adidas shoe. It was basically Adidas version of the Janoski. I thought it was better and a little bit stiffer in some areas where you would want a shoe to be stiffer in by my standards, and that was like, I think the sole was just a little better feeling than the Janoski was. I got probably 3 of these shoes in a row back in 2016 or 2015, so I'm actually probably gonna put it in the A. Like if I saw it again, I'd probably give it another shot, but I think the Shane is a little bit better than this shoe would be. All right, now we got the DC Legacy Slim. Never tried the OG. I really wanted to try the OG back when they were trending pretty hard in 2018, but I got the Slim instead. And this shoe was tremendously comfortable. I think it's probably one of the most comfortable skate shoes I've ever had. I found when I skated them, everyone talks about how the Legacies are so durable, but this shoe blew out for me. Almost as bad as the Tnts did, but not as bad. But while they skated, they were an excellent, bulkier, pillowy-ish cup sole. Even though my kickflips weren't up to par, it was such a comfortable shoe that I just felt like I could do like anything in them. Like it was a very comfortable stair set type shoe. And I think they deserve to be bottom B for that characteristic. The Vans Slip-On Pro with toe cap. That's an important characteristic, because the ones that I had with the toe cap I liked a lot better than the ones without the toe cap, because they lasted longer and they flicked better. But as far as slip-ons go, the Vans slip-ons I think are the best slip-ons, because they come with that nice ultra cush insole, which makes them not really feel like slip-ons, but they have one flaw with them, and that's heel flips. Heel flips and slip-ons would ruin your slip-ons. It like tears the elastic part, and it also just plain hurts for some reason on these shoes specifically. I think it's because when your heel hits the board, my heel would like smack the board and it would hit right on a seam, and it would just hurt the outside of my foot. So whenever I have these shoes, I don't do a lot of heel flips anyway, but whenever I have these shoes, I really do like 0 heel flips, and I think they're probably in a good spot right there. Yeah, that's about my tier list. I hope you guys liked that video. I think you'll probably prefer this screen recording method that I did. I've never made any video like this. Damn, you hear that voice crack. All right, make sure to subscribe, follow the Instagram, and be back. I'm gonna be making videos a lot more frequently because I'm on winter break now, so stay tuned for next week's video. All right, I'll see you then. Peace out, mates.